What's up, LoreHounds? It's Cooper here, outside the Above and Beyond Technologies booth. We are here with Jennifer, the game designer for the Repopulation. So, Pherephassa is actually our sandbox expert, and she's feeding me questions to ask on Repopulation. But let's get out the way the lore here, because LoreHounds love lore. What are we repopulating and why?
All right, so we're actually repopulating a hostile alien planet called Rilden. So Earth was dying close to 300 years ago, and they put all the best and brightest on a starship, and they sent them out into the stars to find a planet that we can live on. And so in doing so, we had to develop different technology. We developed the Nemesine program, which allows us to populate clones' minds with basic abilities such as walking, speech, all that kind of stuff you learn when you're a little kid. So now you start on year 40 on the planet Rilden, and you are a second generation clone. You are Rilden born and bred. And you started as one of two major factions, One World, One Nation, which is an authoritarian dictatorship, or the Free People's Republic, who is more of a relaxed democracy.
So what, you guys mentioned you're kind of a throwback, you're a sandbox, sci-fi sandbox, which is awesome. Where are you taking some of your inspirations?
So a lot of our inspirations do come from the original sandboxes, things like Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies, Shadowbane. That's really where we take the source of our inspiration.
And I want to we bring that up because this is a game where you can just not do combat, right? Like you can entertain, you can do all these different things. What are some of those roles you could take on outside of combat, which is there, of course?
Right, so a lot of our non-combat stuff, we do have an entertainer skill a la SWG, where you're able to tell stories directly from the lore. You can do dancing. We have some very interesting dances like an Irish jig, and there's also a flamenco that's thrown in there. Or you can play music on any one of 3 instruments. We have a guitar, a synthesizer, and the drums. And so you're able to do all that, and in doing so, you buff your allies that are around you as you do these entertainment skills. So in addition to the actual entertaining skill line, we have roles that we don't see very often, such as mayor of player-created cities. You can also be a crafter. We have numerous gathering and crafting professions, everything from mining and fishing to creating installations to chemistry. And we actually took real-life chemistry as sort of the inspiration for our chemistry line. So basically, whatever it is that you look to do as a non-combat player, whether it's resources, crafting, the entertainment type stuff, so actual social gameplay, we have that available.
And these roles actually would take effectively an entire career in the game, like it would consume your character. You can't basically specialize in everything.
You could theoretically attempt to specialize in everything, but I don't think people have enough hours in the day.
So obviously we are in a sandbox environment in the Repopulation, and so you kind of, it's a little bit of make your own story when you're in a sandbox. Have the players done anything like outlandish or wacky that even caught you guys by surprise?
Yeah, there's been a few instances of things that we haven't seen in a really long time. We've got one guy who gets about 250,000 credits per house to interior design basically for players. And this is alpha, so everyone knows all their stuff's gonna get wiped, and yet they're just paying him out the ears to do this stuff for them because he's really, really good at it. We had another player who actually turned an entire city into a giant jumping puzzle.
He made a platformer in the game?
Yes, he made his own platform jumping puzzle. One of our QA members created a 2-level maze city to play around in, and he actually he called out the devs and said, "Hey, come do my thing. Can you run it in under 10 minutes without cheating?" Because we have speed commands, of course, as devs. So and he actually challenged us out in the open, say, "Come try to get your way through my maze," and we're seeing all different kinds of stuff like that crop up. And we're also seeing players enforce reputation as something important in the game world, and that's something I haven't personally seen since Shadowbane.
So not reputation as in some sort of system, but like literally, it's Koopa and he's a jerk.
Yes, exactly. So we see sometimes, every MMO has those players who log in and they have foul mouths and they're mean to people. And instead of ignoring that kind of behavior, our players will actually say, "Hey, new person, this is how you use the ignore feature," and no one talks to that guy. We don't bite to him. We don't or we don't buy from him, we don't sell to him. And hey, by the way, since you're brand new, here, let me answer your questions for you, and let me send you some stims, or here's a free vehicle because I'm a vehicle engineer and that's what I do. And so we're seeing the veterans.
The first one's free, guys.
Right, and so we're actually seeing the veterans actually stand up and say, hey, we're not going to take a toxic community. We're not going to let that evolve like that. And we want to help the new players. We want to gild the new players. We want to bring them in, make them part of the fold. And it's really just enforcing that sense of reputation and investiture in the community. And that's so old school, and it shouldn't be, but it is, and it's so wonderful to see it coming back. Yeah. But we also have a lot of players who choose to be villains in the story, and it's been so far very well received. People insisting their stuff is black market goods and role-playing that kind of black market trader role. Let's see, we have some guy who actually walks around trying to extort people in character, and it's very well received because the people are like, hey, I don't roleplay, he moves on, but otherwise, he's like, I'm gonna break your knees, and they don't like you that much, so they're not gonna reclone you, so you better give me money, and they roleplay it out, and it's beautiful, and it's natively done, and so it's really exciting to get to see it.
Along those lines, are you guys actually looking to take this as far back in the sandbox world of doing live GMing, like bringing the GM back to the server to actually interact with players?
So we actually already have 24-hour a day, 7-day a week GM coverage on our servers. So if you have an issue, if you have a problem, if you have a question, we always have a GM on duty. So we already kind of have a little bit of that. But with the dev run events, that's something that we are committed to doing as we move forward into beta and then to release. We do want to move the storyline of the world forward. We don't want a stagnant planet. We actually want the world and the players in it and the stories inside of it to be able to grow and evolve. And if we don't support that ourselves and actually get out there and create the events for the players and have them have their choices and the way that they respond to our events shape the lore, then we're really just going to stagnate, and we don't want to see that.
Would that help you deal with the problem of, it's common when you have two factions, they're fighting in a PvP sense, that maybe one of them gets out of whack, ends up getting more players, and then everybody, then it just goes downhill from there. Would that be a way you guys would try and even look to correct that through a GM event?
I can't say that we would look to correct that from a GM event, because the way that everything is set up is we don't just have two factions. Players can choose to eschew both factions and go rogue. And if a nation of players does this, the game treats them as sort of a nation unto themselves, as their own little mini faction. And they're able to make allies or enemies on both sides of the NPC factions.
So Repopulation, you guys are currently in alpha. You can get early access if you want.
Yes.
When are we looking to go beta here?
We're looking to go beta after we're feature complete. We're a couple months out from that, and at that point in time, we're going to take a look and say, hey, are we ready for beta? And so far, the answer has been we're just trying to get feature complete in order to move on. So I would expect to see us go to beta in a few months.
All right, can't wait. Sci-fi sandbox experience is coming back to us. Bringing the old good stuff back and polishing it up for the current generation.
Yes,
love it.
definitely.
Thanks so much.